just means so much to each and every one of us. And we're proud to announce that you guys were unanimously our choice for our last meeting. And so we would like to donate $2,000 to the EMS division and to put that where you feel you need it. And we are just so excited that you help us. And so we are just excited that we could help you back in return. So I'm not sure who to present these to. It's somebody.
Yeah.
And I was seeing them for early on.
Jim.
Others.
Thank you guys so much.
We really appreciate coming here. You turn around and look at those people that are working. Those are the people that are saving lives. They deserve the applause also. So thank you so much for your being.
Yeah. Take time.
Okay, next item, next unfinished business. The meeting, Chief.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So at our last meeting, we've had some discussions about meeting times and increasing accessibility to our board functions to the community. We've talked about potentially moving our times, meeting frequencies. We've talked about a variety of different issues. At our last meeting, you tasked staff to do an evaluation about potentially moving our meeting times from 5 in the evening to 5:30 in the evening, moving our morning meeting times from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Staff has conducted its evaluation and we have a recommendation for the remainder of this year. We unanimously feel that probably in the best interest of the community and staff, we should probably finish out this current schedule as we have adopted with one change. We are recommending that we move our morning meeting to 10 a.m. That will match more closely what the library's meeting time is versus 9:30, which creates a little bit of a staffing challenge for them because that's well ahead of their opening time. This way at 9 a.m. gives staff a time to set up the board meeting room and then look at our 2023 schedule when we adopt that in October, or start talking about that in October, and then consider some changes. With our evaluation, we have a couple of concepts, one that staff truly felt comfortable with, and if you will allow me, I'll go to the whiteboard and I'll kind of talk through that if you don't mind. Can you all see this all right? I know it's kind of hard for staff and attendees to see. Everybody see, all the commissioners see okay? Yes. Okay. So what we're recommending, what we would bring forward when we start talking about our 2023 meeting schedules is a little bit of change in our frequency. We want to find ways to increase the quality. We always have quality meetings and quality events, but we want to make sure we're not substituting quality for quantity. So currently we always set our schedule with 2 planned events, and then based on the volume of business we have, we may cancel one of those events. What we recommend for 2023 for your consideration is that we break our year into quarters, and instead of scheduling 24 or 26 events, we schedule our business meetings, and we can alternate those between 10 and 5 for convenience of everyone. And we have a quarterly planned work session that's scheduled and put out there. So it reduces the number of board meetings, but it gives us more time to plan accordingly. We could have much better quality and much, hopefully, better engagement with our community members, because we have, it's more consistent for the community to understand that they can realistically plan on us having 1 work session a quarter. It's a little bit easier on you, give you guys a little bit of a balance, and it gives us more time to plan for each one of these events. We also like the idea that in our December meeting, we could use that as a community engagement opportunity as well as a board session to almost do an annual state of the district presentation and have that as an end of year community appreciation with maybe we do it at Fire Station 33 to change up the venue a little bit, and we can also do a quasi open house to invite our community in and do a state of the district in a little bit different of a format than an annual report. We could close out our calendar year that way. So that is staff's recommendation moving forward to 2023. For your consideration, I provided that in your board packet for you to take a look at. However, as I stated, this year staff is recommending 1 change to your current existing schedule, and that's moving the morning meeting from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Any questions for me?
Before we go on to the motion, we were discussing changing the 5 o'clock to later time, to 5:30 or 6.
The problem with 5:30 or 6 really becomes climate control. We're trying to be good partners with the library. That creates an issue where their staff has to stay a little bit later, and their air conditioning is auto-programmed to shut off at 5 o'clock. So if we move it to 5:30 or 6, based on the content, based on the community turnout, this room could get pretty uncomfortable pretty quick. So that's one of the reasons that staff doesn't recommend changing that, just purely for attendee comfort and all of your comfort as well. And the hope is, as you all know and saw on your agenda, we're now live broadcasting on YouTube. So our community and our staff has even greater accessibility. So this is our first meeting doing a live broadcast on YouTube. So a lot of good things going on.
Comments?
I like it.
Okay, do we have a motion to move the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District group session meetings from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. the remainder of the 2022 meeting schedule?
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Chief. The next item is the mid-year budget review. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's my pleasure to present to you, the community and staff, our mid-year budget review. It's going to be a little bit different. We're live broadcasting, as I stated, so I want to start this year's mid-year budget review, since we're in budget session, with a very high-level budget overview for the district. So obviously, every budget session and every budget season, we monitor various economic factors regionally, locally, nationally, and this year has been a little bit unusual if you watch the national news. Several economic factors that we're considering going into our new fiscal year as well as this fiscal year is inflation. There is no surprise to anybody that we are at historic inflationary levels. Energy costs are rising, particularly fuel, which is particularly kind of skewing our budget substantially. European instability on a national and international level. Consumer confidence is shaky at the best classification. We all know that nationally in all sectors, we're being impacted with a labor shortage. At the conclusion of the first quarter of 2022, 4.4 million people left their jobs, creating a 1 to 8 employment to job seeker ratio, which has never been seen before in recent history. And then we have the minimum wage factor, which is occurring, where minimum wage in a region or local economy or state has reached a point that it's either equal or surpassing what skilled labor was compensated prior or before. And then, of course, we all know we have a national housing affordability crisis. So a little bit about independent districts' revenue streams. Get questions all the time and want to talk about how the district is funding on a very high level. Special fire districts such as us, we have one primary revenue stream, and I gave a nice little pictorial that demonstrates streams. So our primary stream of revenue is ad valorem, and I apologize, I know it's hard to see. Roughly 92.7% of our funding is from ad valorem or property tax assessments. Our next most substantial revenue stream coming into the district, which represents approximately 7%, is our user fees. Our user fees from our EMS transports, our user fees from our life safety services. That's followed by sales of capital assets as they occur, followed by miscellaneous interest earnings on capital reserves, followed by impact fees. And for a district that's built out, that's really negligible. We have a bigger pickup now because of the Margaritaville project in this fiscal year, but typically we don't see a tremendous amount of impact fees because we just don't have the growth like other areas that have a lot of future growth and expansion. All of those factors funnel into the district's general fund, and from the district's general fund, it gets broken down into two streams: our assigned and designated reserves and our district's operating budget. From there, our operating budget, as you can see, personnel services, for all the fine folks in the room wearing uniforms, represents about 72% of where our operating budget goes, followed by our capital expenditures, which we plan through our capital asset reserves and replacement and sustainability, and followed by professional services. This is a little bit higher coming than this year because we have substantial professional services with a new facility that we're trying to plan and identify funding for. So all of that is a very brief overview leading into our mid-year budget review, so I can provide staff and any community members that are watching kind of how our budget operates. So on to our mid-year budget review. So starting at the very top, you'll see what we've actually budgeted to the far left, what our actual numbers are, what we budgeted, and any variances. So the first item that I've highlighted that's of importance is you'll see this big negative 1,202% variance. That's actually a good thing because that represents, we anticipated $5,000 in impact fees, but we actually got about $58,700 in impact fees from the Margaritaville project. So while it appears as a negative because of the variance from what we budgeted to what we actually received, it's actually, a good thing for the district. The next substantial area under revenues is our miscellaneous, which is, we have a variance of about 722%, and that is from our $5,000 safety grant that we received, and from year-end 2020 audit from our workers' compensation carrier, we received an additional $35,000 in savings there. So again, it reports as a negative, but it's really a positive for the district. We're doing well when it comes to safety and workers' compensation. The next item that is reported under revenues as a negative because of a variance is under the sales of capital assets. That is being driven. We budgeted for 42.5 and we're actually sitting at $70,000. That actually is due to our trade-ins and negotiated trade-ins with Zoll monitors of about $70,000. We identified a vehicle in our fleet that we were able to sell and trade in and actually reduce the cost of our support services van for about $17,000. And then we had an all-terrain vehicle which had reached its useful life, and we were able to surplus that with board approval for another $3,500. So under revenue, we are doing well. Our ad valorem, we still have approximately 4% remaining that we have yet to collect. We do anticipate coming in on budget with our total ad valorem revenues. But those were three areas that really stood out that I wanted to provide some explanation to you on. Overall, revenue-wise, we are performing better than what we anticipated for those various areas that I discussed. As we move into expenditures, obviously we have a variance with personnel services because we currently have 12 positions that are funded but are vacant. And we also have some professional services fees that we budgeted and we're slightly behind on that project, so we haven't expended them to the point that we anticipated for this year. Otherwise, we are doing fine and we anticipate to come in on budget with personnel and professional services. The one item that is not specifically called out in this reporting format is fuel. So we've budgeted $40,000 with an anticipated inflationary factor. Right now we're sitting at $53,000, about a $13,000 overture on fuel. We anticipate to end this fiscal year at about $60,000 or close to $20,000 over budget for fuel. Most other areas, we're either under budget or we are right on target to spend as we budgeted and planned. Now that's an important consideration as we move into our next fiscal year, 2022-2023 fiscal year, because every year we anticipate an inflationary factor as we budget. Any of these line items where we are coming in on budget or anticipating coming on budget means that Jane helped us do a really, really good job in anticipating inflation, particularly in operational supplies and tools. So what we're seeing is the impact of our inflationary times when we are coming in right on budget. So thanks to Jane for her work. The other major thing as we go into our next fiscal year, we'll be talking about capital sustainment and the capital plan moving forward. There's been some state law changes which the threshold for what a capital asset is considered is substantially increased from the $1,000 benchmark. And so what that means is we will still be accounting for those assets, but they won't be individually reported in the cap plan. They'll be grouped together as one group of capital assets. So for example, self-contained breathing apparatus. The threshold before required it to be reported as a capital asset, and we have 70 of them reported. Now we can just simply combine them into one capital category with the total cost. So that makes reporting a little bit easier and accountability a little bit easier for us on our end as well. Overall, with debt services, we are performing as expected. Station 33 is anticipated, the last debt service is anticipated to be made in the next fiscal year. So from a debt to income ratio, we are looking very well. Are there any questions?
Questions, Ron?
No.
Jackie? Tim?
No.
And John? Thank you, presentation, thank you.
Thank you.
And that, we don't need to make a motion.
No, sir.
Thank you. Next item, district salary and wage adjustment. And,
So yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I discussed in our budgetary presentation, we know that inflation is having an impact in all facets of our society. And it has become clearly abundant that despite its historical efforts to remain competitive with salaries throughout our local area and our region, with the inflationary economy, the cost of housing, we are currently falling behind with competitive salaries at all levels of the organization. So being that the sentiments of this body and myself as the fire chief is that our people are our most important asset. And the thing that prides ourselves, as we heard from the community group today, I'm going to need to start the process of adjusting salaries throughout the district. With that being said, I would like to request a motion to open the District 3 collective bargaining agreement, specifically Article 14 and Article 22, which is the holiday and pay plans, to make some moderate salary adjustments for our staff in an effort to recruit new talent and to retain the excellent talent that we have currently.
I'd like to open this meeting to public input on this agenda item. If there are any public members here to speak, please hold your comments to 3 minutes or less. Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Discussion.
Now, you know how I feel that we have to make some adjustments because just today the headlines are that rentals in Naples, Collier County just went over $4,000 and we're at $2,200 in climbing a month. So we have to make some adjustments to help everyone meet their obligations and have good living situation and be able to provide for them. So it's a needed discussion.
Ron?
I echo what Jackie said. Now, I believe that part of our problem of paying people out of overtime. Overtime's good, but mandatory overtime is bad. With new recruiting that we're into now, hopefully we can fill some vacancies threshold. So,
Jim?
Yes, I agree. I'm 100% in favor. I think we have an obligation to the community, provide professional services, and we're only going to be able to do that if we recruit and retain great professionals that we have, retain the ones we have, and be able to recruit new ones. Plus, I think we have an obligation to our employees to make sure that they have, as Jackie said, adequate funding to be able to pay the rent. So I'm in agreement. I think we have to go this.
John?
I agree with everything. It's a necessary thing. The only thing that I would say with the wording is a little vague, that we're doing this to increase the overall employee benefits, not just for the issues.
Yes.
So
Do we need to make a wording change?
I'll ask you to make a motion in a minute.
Okay.
So let's, yeah, I concur with the other members that these are unique times, just as the COVID was. These are, that is probably caused by that to some degree, but we are in unique times and do need to make sure that they're taken care of. So, John, would you take a moment, look at that, make a motion?
I think I can dissect it quick enough. So, make a motion to grant fire chief approval to request to open the IAFF Local 1826 District 3 collective bargaining agreement and to enter into collective bargaining for potential wage adjustment.
We have second.
second,
Any comments about wording?
Do we need to be more specific? Are you opening the whole, because you mentioned specifically the
Just two articles.
holiday?
Yeah. We can specifically say.
If the board would just include the two articles that are mentioned in the memo.
Article 14 and Article 22.
Did you get those, John?
So the increase, we're gonna open the agreement to collective bargaining, Article 14 and Article 42 wage.
And Chief, that will give you enough room to really look at this and make the proper adjustments, those two articles?
Yes, ma'am.
So then therefore, during negotiations, those are the only two that can be,
Yes.
and that gives you the lab to the second.
That's correct.
Do we have a second?
So,
Any other discussion?
yeah, I have a question. Chief, do you anticipate this overlapping with District 15?
I do. I believe that this will be, with the relationships that we have built with our labor partners since September. I believe our collective bargaining sessions, because we are working cooperatively and closer together than we ever have. I believe that our collective bargaining moving forward is going to be substantially different than what we've experienced in the past. So there may be some overlap because we have already petitioned PERC and we are waiting dates for District 15. So there will be some overlap on our end in administration. I've already prepped my staff that we're going to have to back burner some things because we need to get this work done for the sake of our people.
That was gonna be my
Yes.
question. You gonna be able to get this done in a timely manner so that they can get some relief?
Yes, our intention is we are going to reclassify, so please bear with administration if there are some delays in any requests. But once both these contracts are open, our primary focus is going to be providing some relief and to all of our employees.
It should be.
Yes, yes.
Okay, any other discussion?
No.
Call and vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay, next item. Overhead bay door procurement. Ali, Chief?
Yes, thank you, once again, Mr. Chair. So this is for the replacement of the budgeted expenditure, the 3 overhead bay doors at Station 32. These are the front bay doors that we planned for this year. We are replacing these with canned metal rolling doors similar to what we did at Station 33. The replacement doors are far superior to the ones we currently have in place, and they are substantially lighter, and when there is a failure with a motor, it's substantially easier to still maintain serviceability and get the trucks in and out of the station quickly. Station 32, because of its design, we ran into some unanticipated additional construction needs with putting in a new style of door. We have to relocate some plumbing, and we also have to relocate some electrical that's up in the ceiling. So the price of $68,918 is all inclusive of all of that work. And as the motion is stating, requesting a 5% leeway as far as any last minute price changes, so I don't have to bring this before this body again. While we are under budget, the cost of our bay doors with steel substantially increased on us, but we were well under what we budgeted, so I'm not worried about us running over what we budgeted for this allocation. This work is needed. We have one bay door that is living on borrowed time, that the framing is tack welded to the metal plates on the wall. So we are living on borrowed time with these doors.
Comments? Jim?
Yep.
John?
Just a question, what's our anticipated total cost?
Our anticipated total cost is $68,918.
And that's including the electrical.
The electrical and plumbing, yes, sir. Plumbing is $640 and the electrical work is $8,780. Yes. $8,778, yes.
Of course, these doors are currently
Yes, they have to be, or we wouldn't be. All the work will be permitted and reviewed, so we couldn't put in any anything in those openings that weren't hurricane weight rated and meet the wind code requirements.
Assuming Chief Worth also negotiated an extended service contract with Dorothy. No, well.
Chief Worth has been intimately involved in this project, and next year when we replace the back doors at this facility, he'll be intimately involved in that project again as well. No, these doors are a wise investment, and, the ones we have, not only are they at their maximum rated engineering width, which has caused us tremendous issues over the years, they're at their end of life as well. So we need to get our trucks out quickly, so.
And the ones at 33 are performing.
The ones at 33 are performing extremely well.
Is there an opportunity to repurpose the materials from the old doors for an opportunity to sell them or scrap them?
To sell them, no, they are pretty beat up. Yeah, the vendor's gonna haul them away and scrap them, take them, do whatever they do.
Saw them.
I just thought,
Yeah, I could have Chief Worth look at it, but, storage becomes an issue too, so.
I have a question for Chief. Like, one of those breaks down, is there a manual,
Yes, if you're familiar with commercial rolling doors, the chain that hangs down on the side, so that's a manual. They release the clutch that engages the motor, and they can manually do it by chain. It's slower than the motor because it's motors are geared, but yes, they are able to do it.
kind of tried that during Irma.
Didn't work.
7,000, well, 200,000. Yeah, they got,
Yeah, it takes some time.
these are much bigger. Okay, yeah, no other, and I'll allow for public comment, any public comment on the site. Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Any other discussion before we move? Okay, who would like to read it? How about, you did well with last.
We'll just summarize this. I make a motion to give the fire chief authority to replace the doors at Station 32, the purchase price of $68,918 plus or minus 5%.
We have a second.
second,
Any other discussion? Call motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Next item, fire chief remarks.
Well, thank you, commissioners, for a wonderful meeting. I do have a few things under fire chief's remarks. First thing I'd like to do is officially present to the community a new member to our managerial staff, Assistant Chief Chris Arminger, who successfully applied and went through our evaluation process. He is our first internal promotee to management in about 12 years. So thank you, Chris, for your interest, and thank you for being one of us. Secondly, and I'm sorry this was not planned, and I hate to put her on the spot, but I would like to recognize driver engineer Jennifer Gordon. She is going to be serving after June 1st as our new District 3 District Vice President, our labor partners. So welcome, Jen, and congratulations on your appointment. So a few things that really highlight our folks that I wanted to bring up to you that's occurred over the last month. On the evening of April 19th at about 8:58 in the evening, our Station 33 got dispatched out to a MERT call, which is a Maritime Emergency Response, for a reported vehicle in the back bay down off of Estrelita. Upon arrival, our initial incident commander on truck 33 was Lieutenant Sean Jensen. I think I seen him walk in, and they discovered an SUV in the back bay. Due to tidal changes at that time of night, it was difficult for Marine 27 to gain access. So driver engineer Alex Gonzalez and firefighter paramedic Cracchiola, under the direct supervision of Lieutenant Jensen, entered the water. Now, entering the water at nighttime, even though we are trained and our staff is trained, is a high liability, high risk event, especially without a boat right there. They went in, they searched the vehicle from the surface of the water, they discovered an unconscious person in that SUV, and they made a rescue, pulling them to shore and giving them to our waiting rescue, which was staffed by firefighter paramedic Lundy and Puhall. It was a positive outcome. The lady was transported to Lee Health and walked out of the hospital on her own power. So I'd like to recognize Lieutenant Jensen and his crew for a job well done. Thank you. Another thing you're always looking as the fire chief for people who are, really living our values and what this district was built upon, and that's neighbor helping neighbor. That's what the fire service is built on. That's what this district was founded on in 1949. And Good Friday, as we know, is a holiday for the district. It's recognized. Operational staff receive compensation, administrative staff get the day off. Well, the week of Easter, we had a district resident who was getting a long overdue visit from her 4-year-old granddaughter for the Easter holiday. And she was concerned, her and her husband were concerned about installing a child safety seat because they hadn't had kids for a while. So they reached out to the district, and the Life Safety Division obviously does car seat installations and checks for our community. And Life Safety Specialist Bill Genevrino was assigned to this lady, and they worked, and they just, they're both busy, and she was really busy prepping for her granddaughter's arrival and shopping and doing all that fun stuff that grandmas do. And their schedules never really meshed to where Bill could install the car seat. So she finally calls Bill and says, "I'm available Friday at 5 p.m. Can you help me out?" And Bill's like, "Well, that's my day off." And he's like, "But you know what? I can't have you driving around with your granddaughter. I won't be able to rest a whole weekend if I don't know your granddaughter's safe." So Bill, on his own, without talking to his supervisor or anybody else, said, "You know what, ma'am? Here's my personal cell number. I live on the island. I have nothing planned for Friday. When you're ready, give me a call, and I'll drive from where Bill's living all the way to Waterside and install your child safety seat on his own," and made time to educate the woman. So I'd like to recognize Bill Genevrino because that really embodies what we do as an organization. And then finally, this past Monday, as you all know, we support the Urban Search and Rescue Team, Task Force 6. One of our on-duty members, Paul Montenegro, was deployed and was able to participate in the recovery and attempted rescue of 2 workers in Charlotte County with a trench collapse. So I'd like to thank Paul and BC Brunson, who serves as a incident commander for the USAR team, for their efforts on that deployment. Finally, in terms of a facility, in terms of our facility and where we're at, we are getting close to finalizing our design. Chief Worth has been doing a lot of drawing, a lot of meeting with the architects. Our next step over the next 3 months is going to be what's known as our site plan development and getting our site plan development order in. And that's where we're going to take that big block and everything we want and put it on our property. And at that time, we're also going to attempt to reparcel the property because we're going to use about 1.2 acres. So we have nice property lines. We still own everything, but we'll have nice parcel all properties instead of the kind of weird L shape that we currently have. So that's what's coming in the next 3 to 4 month period. Thank Chief Worth for all his extra time that he's putting into this facility design. And internally, we are continuing to monitor the cost of construction. Jane and I have been exploring various funding options and funding ideas on how we are going to fund this new piece of infrastructure for the district. So that's where we're at with that. And again, thank you all for your service, and thank you for a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, Chief. Next item, attorney report.
No report, Chair.
The commissioner's remarks. Jackie?
Just want to say thank you to all the folks that you mentioned and everybody else who gets up every day and goes out and as our back on the island. I get lots of comments in my other position from the community, and they are very, very grateful. So it's nice to see you all here. Very much. Really do appreciate thank you again also for a safe season. It was a calm season, relatively speaking, which was nice, even though we were busier than most of us had ever seen before. So I think that really speaks volumes. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to recognize the women who care for their very generous donation. Very happy that the chief has permission from us to reopen contracts, so we can adjust the wages. Open water rescue, that's very dangerous at night. That's hard work. I've seen you guys training in the Gulf. I'm not sure what you did today. Job well done. Thank you. Bill, it goes without saying, you see him every. Thank you, Chief, for what you're doing, building. Good meeting.
I echo what Ron said. Thank you to all of you for hard work and your professionalism. As a member of the community, I certainly appreciate it. And I know everyone I speak with in the community appreciates you very much. Great meeting, Chief. Thank you.
John?
What else did I say? Thanks to everybody. Congrats to Chris for his promotion. Welcome aboard the management team. Look forward to seeing your progress. Hopefully it inspires others to follow in your path and take advantage of the district's education opportunities and room for growth professionally. Thanks to all the members who came today. It really is appreciated. It's good to see your faces out there. We do like seeing you, so whenever you have time, please stop by, say hi, make any comments if you feel necessary.
Thank you. And I, of course, reiterate everything that's been said. We appreciate it all. We get Scott, everyone else. I also want to thank Chris for putting this on Vine streaming. I see. So people right now in the community can watch what we're doing right now. I want to say hi to my wife, Terry. Okay, I have nothing else. That's it. And this meeting is adjourned.